Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining another one of our interviews of key players within the conveyancing sector. Today, we're lucky to have David Jabbari, the CEO of Muve, a relatively new business, but David comes with considerable experience in the market as a solicitor and manager of many law firms, and being partner previously in firms like Clyde & Co and Panonis. Thank you for this, David. Could you tell us a bit about Muve and your size and scale and what your plans are, please?
We started Muve approximately 3 years ago, gone from scratch really to being one of the top 100 conveyancing firms in the UK. And as you say, we recently, right in the middle of the COVID crisis, raised over £1 million in investment funding, which we hope is going to really now be deployed to improve and expand the service on the basis of what we've learned about the market to date. We're at the moment, our run rate, and obviously some of this is pre-COVID, we're looking at sort of 200-300 completions per month. But obviously the investment case that we have signed up to really commits us to becoming one of the top 10 or hopefully top 5 providers of conveyancing services by 2024.
Exciting times then.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, well, we feel, I mean, obviously this crisis has been extremely damaging to so many people and to many in the property market. So, you know, we don't have any joy in feeling that we're coming out of it in relatively good shape. But I suppose the good thing is that by virtue of our investment and not taking debt from government or any other source, we feel that we can come out, you know, being quite innovative, investing in some of our new streams, and essentially the 3 big streams that we took the money for were to further expand our technology and process optimization, including artificial intelligence, to build a very strong field sales team to go out and develop business with estate agents, both of a small and large character.
That's exciting. And on the technology front, you talk about AI. Do you see large parts of the conveyancing process being sort of AI'd in the sort of medium term, or you know, it's a big buzzword. How do you see it fitting into the conveyancing model?
Well, it's something that, as you say, so it's a buzzword, and you've got to be very careful with all of this jargon, haven't you, with AI and blockchain and everything else. And I think one of the things we've been very careful about is not to jump on any bandwagon of jargon. We've really tried to explore the process, understand it, and ask ourselves, where do these technologies potentially fit in? AI, I think, and actually this came, I think we're probably, as far as I'm aware, I don't know of any other conveyancing firm that has piloted it to the extent that we have, because it came really from my contacts with some of the larger commercial law firms who've been using this technology for quite a few years now to do large due diligence exercises when they're reviewing you know, hundreds, thousands maybe of contracts in an M&A context. And we thought, well, you know what, this could actually be quite helpful for the review of leases, reports on title, other core documents in the transaction, not to in any sense replace the lawyer's input, because that's key, but to very much speed up their navigation of these documents. So you often see, it's not uncommon in the conveyancing world to see lawyers pouring through a lease, struggling to find the key clauses. This kind of sub-second review that will break the document up and allow someone to get quickly to the areas, if you like, where the anomalies lie, is how we see it. So again, we're not saying there's going to be a massive you know, replacement of lawyers. It's more about an enablement to the lawyers to review documents more quickly.
So on that front, you're obviously not the only organisation that's seeing that, and we're seeing private equity and other external finance pouring into the sector. At the time of recording, we've just heard that Taylor Rose have acquired Macmillan Williams. We know Metamorph have acquired Legal Zoom, and there's Beaumont Legal, depending on their present branding. And we're seeing other consolidation in this space at the moment, with Simplify taking large parts of the market. Are you seeing external finance as the enabler to finally mean that consolidation will happen in this space now?
Well, external finance in itself is a good thing. I mean, having been the CEO of a city law firm and senior board member of other firms, one of the challenges of the traditional partnership model is that you've only really got two sources of finance if you want to expand your business. One is to go to the partners and ask for more equity from them, which they don't like to do because it's a personally guaranteed debt, or you go to the bank, and the banks have not been very willing to lend over the last since the credit crisis. So it's a great breath of fresh air when you can build a really strong investment proposition and go out to private equity and get the kind of sums that can be transformational for your business. That's really exciting. That's what legal services reform was all about, and therefore, we are definitely enthusiasts for that. On the consolidation point, yes, I mean, there is clear evidence, isn't there, that that's taking place. We know, it's an approximately 2 billion market in terms of the amount consumers are spending on conveyancing, or it was anyway before the COVID crisis. We know it's highly fragmented, over 5,000 providers, again pre-COVID. But we now see, don't we, a very clear shape between the high street law approach, if you like, and the volume conveyancer approach. And I think at the moment, I guess you would say maybe the top 10 volume providers still control a relatively small part of this market, perhaps 10%, you might say at the moment. But I would say that if you rolled forward to 2025, you'd probably find that would be closer to 25%. So we are seeing it. I think it's a lot slower than everyone predicted. I remember back in 2011, of course, people were saying that there was all that rush of private equity in the legal services market because everyone was saying we're going to get the big four retail brands, Tesco Law type brands, which will control all of consumer legal services. That isn't going to happen. That's clear to us. I was working very closely in that area at the time, and I was very invested in the idea that was going to happen. But what I saw convinced me that big retail brands would not develop legal services offerings for all sorts of reasons, to do with the way law is sold, to do with the reputational issues of running legal practices. So what I think is much more likely is that we will see in these sort of verticals of conveyancing, probate, large corporations essentially that do control a large part of the conveyancing market, and that's probably that's a good thing, of course, in terms of customer choice around price and transparency and the economies of scale. And it also, I think, reflects the fact that if you went back 15 years, whereas a client would not have really thought about buying conveyancing other than in a traditional law firm context, they don't think that way anymore. We get a lot of business now directly from price comparison sites. People see conveyancing as an unbundled, discrete product, which they don't need to buy from within the traditional law firm setting. So I think everything is going in that direction. And yet, I think people who say, well, it's sort of just around the corner are also wrong. It's probably somewhere the truth lies between
the middle.
Yeah.
Always takes longer, and when it gets there, it's snuck up on you.
Well, you've also got the issue of the highly fragmented nature of the estate agency market, and as long as estate agents are at a branch level in control of the instructions that they give to conveyancers, then you're always going to have you'll have a degree of fragmentation.
It sounds as if you're adopting quite a number of skills that maybe you see as core that other conveyancers don't. But equally, I know when we were talking earlier, you're not building your own case management, you're using a case management system that you've bought and tweaked. Are sales and IT and those skills as important in the modern conveyancing world? And what do you see as core to differentiate yourself?
Well, I think it's a really good question. Obviously, in terms of what we were just saying about what's happening with conveyancing, how is it being taken apart, unbundled from traditional law firm delivery, how are people buying it? What you take from that is that it's being treated as a retail product, and that's quite a hard thing for traditional law firms to get their head around. The traditional law firm still thinks they're kind of doing their clients a favor by providing legal services. So to take that retail mentality right through your organization, to open yourself up to customer reviews, to look at every single aspect of process and put SLAs around it, that's core. That's what will make the difference. I guess I'd call it sort of repeatability, the ability to repeatably deliver high levels of service. That's absolutely key. When you talk about technology and case management, I mean, they're vital and they go to the heart of process optimization. When you say what is absolutely core, however, I mean, obviously, a lot of those technologies are fairly generic, and I think it would be a brave person. I mean, I'm somebody who I worked at Allen & Overy for 9 years, and I was involved in an enormous project then. It was probably the first, it was a very expensive project, and it was an ambitious project to build probably the first virtual filing system in the legal world. And it was a great project, great success, very innovative, but a couple of years later, it was an off-the-shelf product that you didn't need to spend £50 million to develop. So you've got to be quite a bold law firm to invest a lot of money in building something that ends up being a fairly generic technology. What you should be thinking about is, where do you add particular value? So I talked about artificial intelligence. If you build systems that give you an edge in terms of your ability to review documents quickly, or if you have special ways that you can handle the inquiries process, then you've got something different. And I think those are the things, because I think what we'll see is increasingly we'll be driven into a common platform for conveyancing. We've seen things in Australia along those lines. We've got other analogies like the MOJ claims portal here in the UK. If we really want electronic conveyancing, the land registry or some other body is going to have to push us into a common platform. So what will matter to you is not your ability just to interact with a common platform. It will be the bits that lie your side of that process, which go to the heart of the legal review. Those are the things where you're going to have competitive advantage.
That's fascinating. I think lots of people will find reasons to agree and disagree with you, David, about all of that. But that's the nature of our market. We're a week after the announcement to reopen the property market following lockdown, or fuller lockdown. I can't allow you to finish the interview without asking, a week in, are you seeing activity increasing, or what's your broad experience at the moment?
We're seeing a lot of increased activity, definitely, very, very noticeable, going right through into completion numbers. I think the way I would look at this is that you kind of look at your business in two ways. You say, here's our inventory of cases, and we have a very high number that were stalled because of COVID. And then you've got your pipeline of new instructions. And I think most of us out there are finding now that because the market is moving again, our inventory, if you like, is beginning to move to exchange and completion, and that's going to keep us extremely busy for the next few months. What we're doing, though, of course, is addressing the pipeline as well, because of course, one of the things that we have to try and understand is how quickly will the market recover more generally. And I think my view on that is almost like I say to my staff, three C's. Confidence, because we're already seeing that market come back. Caution, because if you go out and talk to people, there are all sorts of things out there that give you cause to be cautious. I mean, estate agents have been badly hit. They won't all get themselves up to speed quickly. We know that some councils are still shut, so search requests are still going to be delayed. We know that some lenders don't do desktop surveys, so that will be slowed down. And indeed, we know that some law firms have not survived this. So there will be things that will cause caution and slow the market down. And the third C is what I call the sort of COVID variations. That's to say, do we need to readjust our business plan to take account of the fact that, you know, we've been through this period? What can we do to take advantage of the fact that, you know, we do have this investment in our case in order to build, well, essentially to help estate agents who want to get up to speed quicker, who need to have virtual solutions to things that they did in a more physical way in the past.
That's I've not heard the 3 Cs before. That sounds something that I need to go away and apply to our business. But I think that's been fascinating. I really appreciate your time, and I'm grateful. And you know, good luck. And I hope it all goes well. But thank you very much, David.
No, not at all. It's a real pleasure to talk to you, Chris. Thanks very much.
Thank you.